Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me in the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend, Angela Rose.
Hi, everyone.
Tonight we are reviewing Puchi Con, which we were at last weekend out in New Jersey. We had a lot of fun. Angela and I, it's the first event that we have tabled at together and got to meet so many cool people out there. So we're excited to talk about our experiences, the good stuff, the bad stuff, things that we think could be better for next time if they hold it in the same venue. We also are going to be picking the winner of our contest that we held at Puchi Con, where one lucky winner will join us for our interview with Aaron Campbell on September 4th. But first, we need to thank our sponsors. For all of your anime and stationery needs, please check out homecirclemedia.com today. They've got a lot of great stationery, officially licensed art books, puzzles, a lot of really cool anime gifts and ideas. Like I said, be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox. For all of your artwork, photography, and cosplay needs, be sure to check out Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, we're going to be talking a lot of Puchi Con tonight because we are still recovering from everything. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Hello, Ross and Levi. So glad you could come in, hang out with us tonight. We are getting ready to talk about our experiences at Puchi Con. And the first question I have for you, Angela, is you heard me talk up the Pennsylvania show for months and how excited I was about going to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going into it blind with just and knowing that you usually don't take people's words for it, you need to experience it yourself to see if they're full of shit or not. What was your opinion of Puchi Con?
Honestly, it was one of the better small cons that I've been to. Like the fact that stupid phone. The fact that the staff was that attentive actually does speak volumes.
And hello to Darren joining us, our other co-host. He has been busy as always.
Yep. One of my old bosses just called me asking for some advice on, of all things, your area of expertise, Doug.
Goofing off?
No, the other expertise.
Oh, mechanics?
Yes. Issue with his F-150 not wanting to crank.
It's a Ford.
As a car guy once told me, it's a Ford, fix often, repair daily, was the joke in their shop.
Hey, working for a Ford dealership, job security. And glad that you were able to join us tonight, Darren. I know that you didn't join us at Puchi Con. Your weekends are hectic, especially during summertime. I don't know if you were able to tune in for any of the live streams we did, but
nah, I couldn't. I wanted to, or I was going to, but between playing catch up from the rain and it's been a rough past couple of weeks.
That is fair.
Not to say it's been wide open.
And we started off where we're getting Angela's opinion of her first Puchi Con, which you were saying the staff was amazing. They were very attentive, and as we've said many a times on the show, a good staff can make a mediocre con great. A bad staff can make an amazing con suck.
Yep.
And the staffers with Puchi Con were just as good at the New Jersey show as they were at Pennsylvania. Seeing some familiar faces who recognized us, and they were especially happy to see that we had come back. Even we had some attendees who remembered us from the Pennsylvania show and were excited to see us again, which kind of caught me off guard. I remember us talking about at the table, Angela, that it was neat that an attendee was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I remember you. It was a lot of fun talking with you in Pennsylvania."
Yep.
So,
Very nice.
so it's nice to know that we are making a positive impression on the con scene, and looking forward to making a lot more conventions here in the next, the rest of this year, and of course, many years to come. And
Yep.
things started off a little hectic for us getting there Friday night. I got there before Angela did. Was able to get the table set up. Angela had fun with New York City traffic, and I didn't have to deal with the New York City traffic. I just had to deal with Route 17 and New Jersey traffic, which was a pain in the butt. But
See, once I crossed the bridge, I was pretty much there. But yeah, the George Washington Bridge, the Cross Bronx Expressway, never again. Going home, I actually rerouted and took Tappan Zee.
I don't blame you.
And
It's
made
so
it
much
home,
easier.
and would have made it home sooner if I didn't pick up the goddamn thunderstorm.
Sounds like I don't know how much of a delay you experienced, but it sounds like what happened to me when I went to Florida, coming back, bottlenecking from Georgia into South Carolina. I know I sat in traffic over an hour just during that 10, 12 mile stretch from Georgia into South Carolina.
No, it basically caused me an hour, if not 90 minutes of a delay, because I picked up the rain in Connecticut right towards the end of 84. And then I-90 pretty much most of the way I'm going under 50, if not like 10.
Yeah. The one difference is I had clear weather, and it still caused an hour delay because Georgia drops down from 3 lanes down into 2 lanes going into South Carolina.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, it was a large amount of traffic. So,
and
like
people
I
don't
said,
know how to effing merge.
that, or they just don't know how to drive in general.
Fair.
Yep. But
And I don't know how many big rigs were on the road with you, but that's the other thing.
Yep. There was a fair amount of those. But
They
traffic and whatnot aside, yeah, I think all of my complaints about the weekend had almost nothing to do with the convention itself.
And I got there, got stuff figured out. Okay, found the table. The staff was great in being like, okay, this is where you're set up. Table 86, you're right here. And I'm not going to say exactly where the table is located just yet. If you saw the live streams, you know where we were at, which was amazing. But we got moved from our original spot.
Yep. And that's a story. I'd almost say let's save that story until... Let's save that story as foreshadowing for a future show.
As to why we had to move the table?
Yep.
Okay. But we ended up having to move the table, and we got put at a different location. But talking with the staff, the reason they gave us for asking us to move made 100% perfect sense, which, that shows a really good and attentive staff to be like, hey, with what we have planned, we don't want your table getting blocked by when there are people who might be looking to seek you out. So we're going to put you in a different location. Oh, you have a contest running. We're going to put Aaron Campbell beside you. since you have a contest that involves Aaron Campbell, who's a guest at the con. Which, this is the first time in my life I have had a table next to a voice actor that I have interviewed in the past and is coming back on the show. The only other time I was tabled near a voice actor was Vermont Comic Con, when I was across from the voice of Fry Guy from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which Kerry Means was a wonderful person to chat with too. He was a great guy.
But yeah, that was something else, and then just
all that table hopping was even before you got there.
Yep. And then there was that. There was just chatting with the other vendors, the con goers, the artists.
And it was surprising that we spent all of Saturday in the artist alley. And I remember making the comment of, I'm surprised we haven't seen Jen yet, Jennifer Perez, who is the owner of Puchi Con, because she usually makes the rounds often. But also, first year at this location, trying to work out some bugs, figuring out panorams and things of that nature. So we didn't actually see her until the masquerade, which of course had to go and say hello to her.
And I will say, from a logistic standpoint, the room the masquerade was in was not very well marked.
No.
That was some of the rooms in that hotel were very hidden and in odd corners, and
we don't even know what the panel rooms that were on the second floor. I personally never went up there. I don't think you did either.
Nope.
So we don't know how the panel rooms on the second floor were. So if you were at the con and went to panels on the second floor, let us know in the chat and let us know what your experiences were, because we were at the table 90% of the weekend outside of bathroom breaks. And Darren, you're going to be surprised by this, but I did not buy a figure from Puchi Con.
I'm proud / ashamed / surprised.
At the time I left, he said there was nothing that piqued his interest. They had a couple of interesting characters, but the wrong outfits. And
I'm not someone who buys a figure just because I want a figure. I go specifically looking for certain things, and if I don't see what I want and nothing really catches my eye, like when I saw the Yami at Rail City, I'm not just going to spend the money to buy a figure. Instead, I did get Aaron Campbell's autograph. And
Levi in the chat says that the second floor was just a bunch of rooms lined up and then a balcony above the main entrance.
Okay. So I probably should have done more investigating while waiting for you to get there and checking out the panorams on second floor and stuff. But I was just I was excited about getting back to the convention and, figuring things out. Tabling next to Aaron Campbell was a lot of fun. However, Aaron did not have the smoothest experience over the weekend, and it had nothing to do with the convention.
I was gonna say that's the story we should save.
Okay.
Because that's not our story to tell.
Yeah, we will have Aaron tell his story about Puchi Con when he joins us in a couple of weeks. However, the reason that they moved us was we were originally tabled 86, and it was set up weird because you had table 86, and then it started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 through 7 were all voice actor tables. I sat up in the corner next to the door, which was table 86. They then said, instead, where we're going to open these doors for the autograph line, and people are going to come through here, they're going to block your table, which is why they moved us to the other end of voice actor row. So we literally were in the same row as Tara Sands, Mara Junot from Genshin Impact, Keith Silverstein, Griffin Burns, Paul St. Peter, and Aaron Campbell. Which Darren, I did talk with Tara Sands. We just got to figure out a good time of getting the voice of Bulbasaur on the show for you.
Bulbasaur! Bulbasaur. You can get me to do Pokemon impressions, but you can't get me to do Nico again.
The key there is, again, we're gonna find that audio and we're gonna play it. Mark my words, we will track that down.
In the chat, Sylvie Seal, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, says that Tara Sands was really sweet.
She was very nice to talk to. I felt bad that I didn't talk to her till towards the end of the con, which a lot of times at the event, I'll talk to the voice actors as they're passing by the table, or in this case, we were beside a lot of them, so we had the chance to talk with them during the event. But we try to keep it to where the fans have, we try to keep it to where the fans can have, access to the voice actors. And Julili says, hold on, what audio? Darren, we actually have, he didn't realize it, but we did a recording off air of a series that we had toyed around with starting called AZR After Hours, which we're going to actually do our first official live AZR After Hours this Wednesday. That's 18 plus content. This is where nobody has to hold back, which means Angela can just be her natural self and can just, be as Boston as she wants.
God.
and sometimes you even get to hear Darren swear. That's the more surprise.
Yeah, me swearing doesn't. That's like saying, "Is the sky blue?" At this point, let's be honest.
Oh, I know, but people know that on the typical Sunday night shows, this is you dialed back.
I try to be professional-ish.
Sounds too much like work.
But to answer your question, Julili the Idol, we did get Darren doing a Nico Nee impersonation. He thought that the microphone didn't pick it up. We have it, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was the one we did with artist Karen Goslin. I think she was the guest for that one. And I think it was after her telling the story of seeing her first ever Nico cosplayer perform the entire Nico routine in front of the KC, at the time, I think it was KC Creations table at AAC. And we still have that recording. She's just got to find it, edit it, and send it to me so I can upload it to StreamYard. And but back on we're getting
Yeah, this is we have
yeah. Darren, you're going to be famous for your Nico impersonation, I swear. Everybody wants to hear it now.
That's great.
Step 1 is doing the voice. Step 2 is cosplaying the character,
Yeah, and step 1 is a lot more likely to happen than step 2. Well, I mean, step 1 isn't very good chance either, but step 2 is a definite no.
Step 1 already happened, so.
It's just a matter of you proving it happened.
Damn it.
We'll find it. Give us time. But back
You've had nothing but time.
I've also done 9 conventions this year.
Wow. And I'm doing 50 a week. At least.
50 hours a week.
No, 50 yards a week. On top of my hours.
But back to the convention at hand, Puchi Con lived up to the fun that we had at Pennsylvania. again, first year in a new location, there's a lot of growing pains. There's a lot of trial and error. What's going to work if they're back at this location next year? I personally thought the hotel was easy to get to right off the highway. Granted, traveling the highways to get to it may have sucked.
I will also say, and this is not a unique to this venue problem, to get any kind of food options were not easy to get to.
I think there was things that were within driving distance, but as people with tables, vendors, things of that nature, we couldn't just easily drive, 3, 4, 5 miles down the road and find fast food, which left,
Like
Uber
there was
or Eats and
nothing,
stuff.
like even looking at Uber Eats, there was nothing with anything I was looking at was minimum 3 miles away.
I will say that the hotel food, albeit expensive, was cheap for hotel food.
It
was reasonable.
There's the better word. I will not say cheap. I will
I don't
say
think hotel
reasonable.
food is ever cheap.
I have to say, anytime you're taking for convenience of any kind, it's not going to be cheap.
It was reasonable. It was within the realm of reasonably overpriced. And the Starbucks in the hotel lobby was fine until you got a line.
So being vendors and getting there before the doors opened and stuff, we could get in and out pretty easily. Once the attendees started showing up, you had the line out the door and you were waiting a while.
And excuse me. And I don't think they were prepared for that.
No, I don't think half of the hotel staff was prepared for the amount of cosplay they saw either. Some of them looked lost. It was great. That's one thing that's fun about going to, like, Anime Boston is fun because it's one of those few times a year that area that is a lot of suits and ties, business attire, and people going to shop at, higher end stores in some cases, see nothing but nerds, otaku, and people dressed up as these characters from anime, video games, movies, and just they almost don't know what to do.
Julie brings up a point that we haven't gotten to yet in the chat.
It says, have you guys touched on the Princess Peach cosplayer incident yet? Because I'm curious about your opinion about that. I just popped in. We have not talked about that yet. Due to my work schedule, I know that there's been some stuff online about it, but I haven't had a chance to read much. I know that there was an incident about that happened at the masquerade.
I'm just gonna leaving the majority of the drama at the door, because there's a lot of drama that A, is not my place, and B, I have yet to actually deep dive and figure out what's true and what's just people being stupid. I will say that the masquerade, just kind of what I saw at the masquerade, that the masquerade itself, that was just really odd. But at the masquerade, she was one of the last performances before the judges went into judging. If not, there might have been one after.
I think there might have been. I think there was one after her.
But
they had forgot somebody.
But she was towards the end, and she gets on the stage and opens up with a sob story about a relative of hers having died the day before. And I thought that was a little bit
melodramatic.
I just thought it was odd, but I didn't think much beyond that. And then she just went into the sob story, and then I dedicate this performance to them. Did her skit.
Walked off the
And
stage, got
walked off the
consoled by some of the other
everybody.
cosplayers.
And the girl's mom was there. And the girl's mom gave me very dance mom vibes. But I figured that was the end of it, and it's like, okay, whatever, you know. And then the next morning is when rumors and things started surfacing, and I don't want to get into that because that's all it is rumors.
And we did video the masquerade. However, we've been having some problems with the file. I don't know if the file got corrupted somehow or things like that. We are trying to work out the issue with it and hopefully be able to upload it to our YouTube channel so everybody can enjoy the masquerade, at least from our point of view. I saw a few other people with cameras, so there might be other footage up. So you can make your own opinions from the performances that you see. However, we are not here to start rumors. We're not here to speculate on things that we don't have the proper information about. So like I said, I know that there was drama. I don't know much about the drama, so I'm not going to contribute to it. And Darren wasn't even there, so he can't say anything.
I was going to say, what are we talking about?
Exactly. As far as the, kind of circling back to the rest of the masquerade, there were some really impressive costumes and performances.
There were. And the judges definitely had a hard time figuring out who they wanted to root for, or not root for, but choose as winners. And it was interesting afterwards to talk with them a little bit and hear the stories of, well, after the initial judging, going off of, the craftsmanship type of things, they had one opinion, and one person that they were looking at, it was like, it's good, but I don't know if it stands up to this other one. Then when they came out and did their performance blew the judge away, and that was easily a choice for them to make. Where the performance made up for, maybe a mistake in sewing or something just didn't look right, or judge. I've only been a part of one masquerade judging, so I don't really know what they look for.
I'm going to agree with you, Lily, here. It's good to at least remain objective. That's fine. As long as the staff themselves were doing what they were assigned to do, that's really the most important thing. And I will 100% agree with that. And because there were separate judgings for the craftsmanship versus the performances, because there were some that were only judged on their performance versus
both
craftsmanship.
And we found out after the fact that there was some drama, and that the judges, once being made aware of the drama, handled it accordingly to the way that they were supposed to handle it by the rules. So that's the most that I can contribute based off of what we found out while at the convention on Sunday.
And I will say the ones that the craftsmanship awards were definitely, I will 100% agree with. When, for anyone who has seen My Hero Academia, there was somebody who made Toga's outfit literally everything except the boots was handmade.
Including, I think it was hand crocheting the sweater.
I don't remember if it was knit or crochet, but either way, handmade, that's impressive.
They did an amazing job. So hats off to her for winning, and it really was impressive. The overall winner
Was the
Um,
one on stilts.
they were on stilts, had only been practicing stilts for about 2 months, we were told. We are in talks with them trying to figure out a date because as the overall winner of the Masquerade, they are going to be a featured guest here on Anime-Zing Radio within the next couple months. So definitely stay tuned to our Facebook page. We're going to be updating the schedule here as we get more guests lined up. And it was kind of amazing because they made their outfit themselves, had to learn stilts, and the head they made even spun. I forget what the character was, but I think was it from Stranger Things or
I don't remember. I just remember it looked impressive. One of the more entertaining performances, and I know for a fact this was a performance only one, was a pair of dancing bears from Five Nights at Freddy's.
that was pretty good, and they couldn't see a damn thing.
Oh,
Sundrop, Five Nights at Freddy's. Thank you.
Thank you. But
Thank you, Sophie.
their choreography was again very impressive.
And I'd say the only thing that I questioned about the Masquerade, and I can understand trying to fill the time with something entertaining while the judges deliberate, because at Puchi Con, they really just had the person emceeing just kind of tell jokes to fill the time while the judges deliberated in the Pennsylvania show. This time they brought in some wrestlers and put on a wrestling performance.
Here's the thing. What one of the con staff told me when I asked was that this was planned because there's a lot of crossover in the fandoms for anime, general nerd, pop culture, and wrestling.
And that can be seen, actually, I think in one of the latest WWE games, they actually have Nico Nico Ni on one of the billboard signs.
There is a girl. I do not remember who it is for the life of me on
in ECW.
AEW.
AEW, I'm sorry.
I do not remember who it is, but in most of her fights, she dresses up as anime and video game characters.
It isn't Ronda Rousey, is it?
No, it is not. It's definitely an Asian chick who's smaller than I am.
Not Lady P.
No.
But I have seen I have seen pictures of her wrestling as like Sailor Moon or a Love Live outfit or things of that nature, which, hats off to her for bringing, the anime culture into wrestling, which you kind of don't think it would match. But then again, there was Kimono Michi.
But we've seen it with Comic-Cons. It's been part of Comic-Cons for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're starting to see even more of that overlap as the fandoms converge.
I will say I was also pleasantly impressed at the amount of people who stayed to the end of the judging, who could stay to the end, because in Pennsylvania, because they had so few entrants in certain categories, some people got bumped up. So when the category a novice category that you entered for, you hear them announce second place and first place, a lot of those people figured they didn't win and left, which they had gotten bumped up into intermediate or expert category and won in those, but they weren't there to receive the award, even though it was announced many times that people got moved because of lack of entries in certain places.
And Ross, I'm going to share. Speaking of video game characters, I'm dressing up as Bryce Papenbrook's character, Mark Flask from Children of the Seven Stars for Comic-Con. And hey, that's awesome. Please share pictures.
Yes. And Julili asked, how long did the Masquerade go for? I think it went for about 90 minutes or so.
I would say closer to 2 hours. However, a large chunk of that was filler because technical difficulties.
A lot of technical,
And the
and
wrestling match.
And they had a late start.
And the late start because they couldn't get the sound functioning properly. And then there was the broken mic.
Yep. And then the mic, and then another mic getting broken during the wrestling match. But that's besides the point. And I was just messaged saying that the video was about an hour and a half altogether. So once we were able to figure out the technical difficulties with the video, we do plan on uploading it. I've tried a couple different ways directly to our YouTube channel. Also, I've tried uploading it through StreamYard, and it keeps saying that there is an error in the programming. So we don't know if something got screwed up in the recording or what, but we're going to try to work on that more this week to see if we can figure that stuff out. Hats off to Casey behind the scenes, who's doing all the video editing and trying to get everything up.
If you guys can upload the video to Google Drive, I also can play around with it on my end as well.
And Julili says that seems fair for Katsucon's masquerades last for even double that time. Katsucon also has probably 2 to 3 times the entrance that this convention had. So it's I would say this was a probably small to medium-sized convention based on location and based on the fact they haven't really had a home for this con yet.
It's, like I said, it's one of the smaller ones that I've been to.
But it was really well run. There was a lot of cool vendors there, and we had a wonderfully talented artist that was sitting beside us, which I showcased a lot during our live stream. It was her first time ever vending a convention. I had to buy an art piece because there was a Spy Family piece that was staring at me the whole time. Unfortunately, we packed everything away. I wasn't thinking about this beforehand.
Our Japanese lesson for the show. Puchi means small in Japanese. Thank you for that, Julili. I appreciate that.
And Levi says, felt big for my first convention that I have been to. I think Puchi Con would be a good first convention because the staff is very welcoming. They love the attendees. They love the vendors. They love the staff or the guests. They found good people to make you feel welcome.
Agreed.
Like my first convention was Anime Boston, which is take Puchi Con and times it by what? 50?
Anime Boston is one of the, I hesitate to say larger ones, but I arguably the biggest one in New England.
Because I know that they Anime Boston pre-pandemic years were averaging 25 to 30,000 attendance in 3 days. So
and Anime Boston also is, if you are not accustomed to the layout, to the area, it is overwhelming. I know my first year at Anime Boston, it was overwhelming because not only does it take up the entire convention center, but there's also stuff in the hotel ballrooms.
Yep. And some of it spills over outside and with photo shoots, things of that nature.
Yep.
And really that whole area of Boston just becomes cosplay central.
And there's a ton of easily accessible, not super expensive food options. There are the expensive ones too, but it's also one of those you have, if you know the area, you know where to go.
I am just getting things set up as you saw briefly there. I do have the wheel set up with all of our contestants,
and so there's a lot of them,
which I am so happy to see. I think we had, was it 23?
I was going to say it was over 20.
23 contestants who are going to be entered for a chance to join us when we have the amazing Aaron Campbell on the show with us on September 4th. So thank you to everybody who turned out and joined up, subscribed to the channel, man. We really mean it. We went into the con, Darren, 13 subscriptions shy of 200, and we hit almost 40 subscribers from Puchi Con. So really a big heartfelt thank you so much.
And Levi in the chat found his name on the wheel.
Nice. You are on there, Levi. So we are currently sitting, I think, at 225.
And Sylvie Seal is part of the group that we know 200 came out of.
Were you the which cosplay were you? Were you the Mackenzie, or because I know
there was a group of 4 that were all together, and one of them was 200, and we were not sure which one of them was.
So when they came back by on Sunday, the Monica, that's right, not Mackenzie, Monica. I'm so sorry. When you see so many people,
orange hair with the white bow. Yep, I remember that.
So again, thank you so much to everybody who tuned in during the live stream, who came by the table and said hi, and doing these live streams from the cons is a lot of fun. And Angela, I think you got an experience of seeing how people like to interact with the camera and the fun that you get to see.
Yep.
And it just that's why I love doing this app, especially putting the monitor out. And for those of you who were able to see it, let me know if you appreciated being able to see yourself and see in the chat room when we were live, getting to interact with the people who are tuning in. Because it's a lot of fun to do that, and it's a lot of fun to be able to showcase a convention to those who may not be able to make it, whether they're not close to whether they're in another part of the country, or in some of our viewers' cases, another part of the world, being able to have a chance of seeing what Puchi Con was like for us from our table point of view. Also, it gives the fans an interesting perspective of, when you attend a con as an attendee, you walk table to table, you get to see the different artists and everybody, but you don't really get to see the life that an artist or somebody with a table sees, being stuck in one location the whole time. And we only do a 3-hour snippet. We didn't do the full 8-9 hours that the Artist Alley was open. And Levi says it was fun to be on the stream. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, because we don't get a lot of feedback a lot of times from the people who are on. Some people love it. Some people, just kind of hide their face. And I think the fun part is, like, parents with kids, the kids will see it and start acting up, and the parents have no clue why the kids started acting goofy, and then they see it and kind of like startles them. Didn't happen a ton at Puchi Con, but it's happened at some of the other conventions we've had tables at, so I think that's kind of the fun stuff too. And I know everybody's waiting for the wheel. We'll probably do that at the top of the hour. Somewhere between 9-9:15, we'll do the wheel spin. Maybe.
And I'm going to give a shout out here, Julili. I always enjoyed your program, so just keep up the good work.
I thank you. Julili is an amazingly talented idol singer who has been a guest on the show multiple times. We did get a chance to meet her in person at Katsucon the one year that we went. She actually won Katsucon Idol that year. And so thank you. It's always fun to chat with you, and thank you for the continued support of the channel and us, and keep up the amazing work with the singing and dancing and everything that you've done, because you are a talented performer, and just keep following your dreams. Now, some of the things that we noticed at Puchi Con, aside from the staff being fantastic, and seeing some of the people that I really wanted to see as staffers from Pennsylvania, New Jersey were there, and I was really excited about that. One thing I did notice, and I think it comes down to, lack of planning or lack of time to plan properly. There were artist and vendor tables out in the hallways, which seemed a bit off, and the dealer's room was really tiny.
That could be any number of things. That could be as simple as that they didn't have a better option for layout, that they had already accepted all of the tables before getting things solidified with the hotel.
From talking with some of the staffers, there was the issue of things being changed around last minute, and they didn't have from what I understood, for the Camelback Resort, they had a nice map of the ballrooms that they had to go in and take measurements, so they knew how many tables could fit, things of that nature. I don't think they had that option with this location, whether it be timing, scheduling,
And
whatever the case may be.
there was also a fair amount of staff changes last minute, because the person that was in charge of the masquerade basically ended up taking that position on staff like only a couple months before the con.
So definitely a learning experience, as I said, for both ends. I hope that they can find a legitimate home. I know that the Camelback wants Puchi Con to come back again next year. They're looking at September, which, when Puchi Con returns, I want to continue to provide sponsorship courtesy of Anime-Zing Radio. I personally have enjoyed their events. The two that we went to this year, we had a lot of fun at. The staff is just like, I almost feel like going and seeing staff is like seeing family.
I will say this. If they try to do it in September, they should actually try to talk to the people that run Colossal Con, because Colossal East is in the same area also in September.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how far is Camelback from the Poconos.
Camelback is in the Pocono.
How far is it from the Kalahari?
I don't know.
Because Colossal Con is at the Kalahari out there, and it's always in September, and I wouldn't want to see either convention suffer by having one in basically the same area too close.
And I'm trying to see if I can find
And while you're looking that up, I'm gonna Lily's also saying there should be some sort of cap or limit with the amount of slots for vendors and artists, correct? And yes, there usually is based on space, but if they didn't get the correct, if a lot of things were done later than they should have been, it is entirely possible that they didn't have the space ahead of time, and therefore we're basing it on the previous venue and accepted all of the vendors and artists and then had to fit them somewhere.
They are about 16 miles apart. So right in their backyard.
Yep.
So definitely something that the founders of Puchi Con should look into, and I think they should keep it, late May, late spring, early summer, especially with a water park. You're gonna get the Philadelphia crowd. It'll give people, something to look forward to, like the midway part, so they have two fun cons to look at throughout the year in the Pocono Mountains, as opposed to trying to cram two in a short amount of time, where, I'm sorry, Puchi Con, you're going to lose to Colossal Con East. It's just with the reputation Colossal Con has, you're gonna lose to Colossal Con East if you try to compete with them. So your best bet is to offset, try to not fight with them, but give people another thing to look forward to earlier in the year. But that's just my personal opinion, knowing so many events that happen on the same weekend in close proximity that somebody's going to lose out, and it's usually the newer
Smaller event.
the smaller event in the location.
All right, and chat is kind of going. Let's start at the top. Ross, I forgot I had a question. This will be my first time passing out cards to people. How exactly do I give it to the voice actors? Any tips on that, Doug? I'm gonna let you handle that one.
For that one, Ross, now it's different because I'm the host, and you're interested in trying to help us get some amazing voice actor talent as guests on the show. Best thing that you could do is when you go up for the autograph is you can say that you watch an anime podcast on YouTube, you would like them as a guest. Here's one of their cards. Feel free to reach out. If sometimes I think that if a fan reaches out to a voice actor about going on a podcast, it might have a stronger meaning to them than the proprietor, or like in my case, the host and owner of Anime-Zing Radio being like, I'd love to have you on the show. Because then they know the fans truly want to see you on something else that they enjoy. So that's probably, and just be sincere about it. Don't make it sound staged. Don't make it sound, forced or anything like that. Don't make it sound like, oh, we're making you do this. As I've said before, if you have guests that you'd love to see on the show, reach out to us, let us know, or if you want to reach out to them and have them get in contact with us, we appreciate the gesture of trying to help us find more amazing guests to come on the show.
And then Lily, I hope that's something for them to take into consideration in the future, since I can imagine if anyone struggles with disabilities, they might have issues navigating the cramped spaces. That is something that especially the smaller cons do struggle with sometimes.
I will say this, from the Camelback Resort layout to the Teaneck, New Jersey layout, the aisles were wider for New Jersey. We did see multiple people who were handicapped in wheelchairs, things like that got around fairly easily. The elevators were very easily accessible, not very far from the artist alley and the dealer's room. So I didn't see an issue in Artist Alley. The dealer's room was a little bit more cramped, so they might have had some issues in there.
The Masquerade Room is where I noticed it.
They had a weird setup for the Masquerade Room.
But the Masquerade Room was weirdly laid out, and once everybody got in, it was overcrowded.
Yeah, there was more people than chairs.
Yep.
And once everybody figured out where the Masquerade Room was, because as Angelo stated earlier, it was in a weird location, hard to find, not clearly marked. You literally had to go around. I didn't know there was a hallway that went around the outside of the restaurant area to a panel room hidden in the back. And that's where the Masquerade was held. And Levi agrees, saying the dealer's room was a bit small, which led to a lot of people tabling Saturday out in the hallway, and I saw a lot of those tables empty on Sunday, sadly.
There were some tables, even in the Artist Alley, that I noticed during our, pre-doors open quick walkthrough. I noticed that there were signs up saying that they were only there for Saturday.
And in some cases, with multiple events going on, especially summertime when there's cons every weekend somewhere, it's not uncommon for vendors to be there one day and then another con the next day. And then there are some vendors who, if day one doesn't go good, they don't stick around day two, which
they cut their losses, which
It's a
depending
double-edged
makes
sword.
sense.
It's a double-edged sword because you could be, you could be missing out on what could be potentially a really good second day, or you could be like, I didn't make what I needed to make this even feasible. So, a lot of different factors go into why artists and dealers will only be one day at a con.
And then you also this year you have to take into account this is the first full year of conventions post COVID, and any kind of attendance numbers are speculative at best leading into an event because you can't base anything on 2018 and 2019 numbers.
And Puchi Con was a mask mandatory convention, which there were a lot of attendees who did not adhere to that. It was nice knowing that that was one of the rules that security was getting on their case about. Excuse me, you need to put a mask on, to both attendees and some of the dealers and artists that were there. So they were enforcing the rules. It probably could have been enforced better, but I also don't think it was staffed as good as it could have been, um, for monitoring that.
And Julili says that she forgot that they are relaxing COVID restrictions, and that varies state by state
and even event by event.
Event by event. I do know that I do have it on authority that PAX West is going to be the same as PAX East was earlier this year, where they're going to require vaccines as well as masks. And there are people who are not happy about that and who have already said they're not going because of it. And then on the other end of the sword, there are people that are with the more relaxed restrictions, they're refusing to go to events. But I'm not here to judge people's personal choices, just kind of stating this is what I'm seeing on social media.
And with, we are in a very weird state in our lives of, we are still dealing with a pandemic, even though it's not as predominant as it was when it first came out. And we're all trying to get back to our normal lives or back to some sort of regularity as we can, with events coming back, things of that nature. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter what any con does, they're going to be pissing off somebody. Somebody's not going to be happy about the rules. We have to wear masks, so I'm not going. They're not enforcing masks, so I'm not going. You're not going to win no matter what. So the cons really have to sit down and think what is best for us and for the safety of our attendees. And Levi says, I just think that people are missing out on a lot for not going just because of rules.
And that is people's personal choices for what the individual feels comfortable with. And there are some people who aren't comfortable going to large events, period.
There are people who still don't like going grocery shopping. They will still just have groceries delivered to their house because they don't want to risk it.
And for those people, that's their choice. There are also those people that are at the point of that, how do I put this? That are so ready to be back to pre-pandemic state where it's like where they're just like ready to go and do all the things and want no restrictions whatsoever. And that's valid as well. Just everybody's got to make their own decisions based on their own situation and be safe and do what's right for them.
And this comment is something that it doesn't just fall in line after the pandemic. This has been an ongoing thing for years in convention scene. I think just so long as people are hygienic, keep to the rules, and stay safe, that's the most important thing. Pre-pandemic, they had the war on deodorant at Anime Boston.
That was not just an Anime Boston exclusive. That was the majority of the New England cons.
I can vouch for the Southern cons as well. I mean, it's pretty much no matter what convention you go to. Talk about staying clean is always brought up before every single con and throughout the convention every single year.
And Levi got lucky because where they live never really had to change things because of COVID.
Which is really good, and I hope that you stayed safe and did not catch it at any point. Um, I know that I was very lucky throughout the pandemic, especially when things were in shutdown mode. That I worked 3 different jobs during the pandemic, and all of them were considered essential. Whether it be working for Jiffy Lube until the doors were shut down there, I had 6 days of unemployment before starting at Target, and then eventually ended up at a dealership where I currently work. And so during the entire pandemic, I think I spent 6 days out of work, which drove me nuts. So I don't know how people could just stay home and be fine with it, because it was absolutely driving me insane.
Ditto. I got deemed essential, so I never went to work from home. And let me tell you something, being one of the few departments still there on a college campus when everybody went into shutdown mode, that was surreal.
You sound like my friend who works in the school system as a maintenance person. The schools eventually shut down, so him and his whole department literally caught up on months and months of backlog to the point they were just BSing around for the longest because without the kids there to break things, what's there to fix?
Yep. I was in the mailroom and up until August of this year, but that was surreal because there's the few people that were there. How did they cope with it? Ordering way too much stuff online. And then it was this whole big thing, and I could ramble for a good hour on that alone.
And Jalili says, I take from what's happened years previously, it's okay to do things, but we can't go back to the way it was sometimes. So it's okay to take things slow and take your time.
Absolutely. That is very well stated.
And, it is. It's very well stated, and it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of cons tested the water at the end of 2021 by let's try to, Kineticon moved back many months, had to change a lot of things around, but they wanted to dip their toes in the water to see if they could still put on a decent show, which I had a lot of fun last year, which
and
made me want to go back.
2021 PAX Unplugged at the very end of the year, that was December. It was definitely not as big as it had been previously, but it was definitely one of the bigger events. And they required vaccines, they required masks, and you could only eat in specified and designated eating areas. And there was definitely a lot more. Things were spread out a lot more, but overall, it was a really good event.
And one thing that I noticed when cons started coming back, attendance being down, but also what was down was a lot of the pre-pandemic drama, the troubles, the people who just were there to cause trouble. They didn't really care about being at the con. They just wanted to cause drama, things like that. Not that it didn't happen, but you didn't hear about it as much because the mask mandates, some of the rules set in place. Those who were just going to go to be a pain in the butt figured it's not worth wasting my time if I have to follow these rules to go and even be in those areas. So the people who actually showed up really wanted to be there, were happy to be there. And overall, you kind of got the sense that people are having a better time than years past.
There were some instances where the instances of bullshit drama were fewer and further between, but they did happen.
Oh, like I said, they still happen. They just weren't as predominant as pre-pandemic.
And you know what? That's Levi brings up an interesting point. The funny thing is, most cosplayers are used to wearing masks.
Which is true. A lot of them do. They wear
Mhm.
masks or the fursuits with the full face heads and everything.
And also to conventions in general, they would be the ones selling those masks. Um, a lot of them, I remember the popular ones around here was either like the stuff with Pasheen on it, the cat design, or the hentai ones were the really popular ones.
And Anime Boston 1 year pre-pandemic were selling masks that lit up and could make like the little faces and things like that, the
Yes.
LED lighting and stuff. So
My husband does, in fact, have one that's got LED lights in it.
so it's the masks are
Mask.
not something new to the convention world. We have seen them, and it's masks are something that also were very common in Japanese culture. If they weren't feeling well and had to leave the house, they would wear masks in Japan, even pre-pandemic, as a courtesy to not spread any
That
sickness
is,
or things of that.
And
that is not.
that's an Asian thing.
Yeah,
That's
I was gonna
not
say
just
that's
Japan.
Not just
that.
Japan, but
No, because on a college campus where we see a lot of international kids, that's all of the Asian students before the pandemic would do that. You'd see the occasional student walking around with a mask on, and they were actually, once the pandemic hit and masks became required, they were the ones that were the quietest about it.
so I apologize. It wasn't. It was all Asian countries, not just Japan. I just knew Japan from a lot of the Japanese YouTubers and stuff, and seeing
Yep.
that. I not knowing that it was all Asian countries, but they were ahead of the curve when it came to this. So
Agreed. No, I distinctly remember talking to some Chinese students about that at the very beginning.
what do you say? Have we kept people in suspense long enough? Should we spin the wheel, or
Yeah, let's spin the wheel.
so we're going to bring this up, and let me flip screens here so we can get to the generator. And just so people know that there is no funny business, every name that is on this wheel was written down at the convention. And we are shuffling up the names here multiple times. That way I have no idea where names are gonna end up. Darren, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
All right. We are gonna click to spin right here. So round and round it goes. Who is gonna join us when we talk with Anthony, or not Anthony, yeah. Solomon Z is going to be joining us when we have Aaron Campbell on the show. Congratulations, Solomon. We will be reaching out to you via email this week. So hopefully you are able to join us. If not, we will then respin the wheel and select somebody else. But I am really excited to have Solomon joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know from the last time that we did this, I actually heard back from Josie McCoy, who said that he had a blast said that Rick was an amazing guest, and was happy that he was able to come on with us. He had, I think we're going to have Josie McCoy on there. I figured you were the one right under it. I thought it was going to stop on you, Sylvie, and then it just went one more. So, again, congratulations, Solomon. I will be shooting out an email to you this week. Might be after the show if I have the energy, or it might be later on. But excited to reach out to you and having you on the show. And Solomon was one of the people who signed up on Sunday. He was towards the bottom of the list.
And now for something completely different.
Darren saying Nico Nico Ni.
I was just, that's not something completely different or new for that matter. So I'll just bring up Ross's bad joke of Wheel of Morality. What lesson will we learn today?
And in irony, Casey, when we were randomly picking names that it could have been, the only name she said was Solomon. So she's like, I called it. And just so you know, this was all fair. There was no. A, Casey wasn't at the con, so she had no idea who anybody was on the list. Only Angela and I were. And
Yep.
B, this is a completely 100% random wheel. You saw me shuffling it. There's no way of knowing. Darren wasn't even there, which is why I told him to say stop. I wanted there to be no funny business at all.
None whatsoever.
But everybody who subscribed, thank you so much. Tune in every week. We have a lot of great guests who come on. Next week, after thinking about it and realizing we never rescheduled this guy from when he was supposed to join us last time, and thunderstorms knocked out his power, so he wasn't actually able to join. And Angela was, sad that she didn't get a chance to talk to this guy. I just reached out to him today. I was like, hey, you want to come on next week? He said, sure. So next week, we're going to be joined by our good friend, creative artist, voice actor, former wrestler and child actor, Rusty Gilligan is going to be coming back on the show. So it is going to be a lot of fun talking with him.
However, before that,
Yes.
on
Before that,
Wednesday,
we are going to debut, even though we recorded like 4 of these episodes that we never had the software to edit and stuff last year when we started doing this, we are officially going to debut AZR After Hours, where we're going to take a topic. It's probably going to, we're planning an hour. They usually run longer because all 3 of us like to talk. And it's going to be an 18-plus panel. Sometimes we'll bring on guests who will join us to be off the wall and no holds barred. Sometimes it'll be just the 3 of us. Sometimes Casey will join us as well from Casey Fox. And we will find a topic and just talk openly and honestly about anything and everything. So if that sounds like it's going to be fun, basically AZR After Hours is the 18-plus version of what you see here, where we try to dial it back and be kid-friendly. Anything can happen. You might even get to hear Darren swear, which that's a very, very rare thing. He's a good Southern boy.
Pretty much.
He doesn't even deny it.
Nope.
I try to behave.
But this is where we talk all sorts of random nonsense. I have a couple ideas of topics that we could talk about, which we'll discuss off the air, and you'll find out Wednesday exactly what we're going to talk about. But that's going to be a YouTube exclusive. So right here on the YouTube channel, anybody who's watching us via Twitch or Facebook, search for Anime-Zing Radio on YouTube. If you like the content that you're seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the videos. It helps us. It helps grow the channel. And the faster we can grow the channel, the more that we're able to get out and, to the events to meet all of you amazing people. I know, Angela, you had a lot of fun talking with the different cosplayers and the people who came by the table who had questions about the show. And
Oh, completely off topic. Ross wants to know, is he the only one who's enjoying Parallel World Pharmacy? One of my friends actually said it wasn't bad. Most of my anime watching friends are isekai trash like these 2.
I will say, I put my foot in my mouth when I was going through, when we did our little summer review, saying another pharmacy isekai, I'm not going to watch it this time.
Every time you say that.
And then I went and checked it out because I'm like, it's killing me. Since I watched the other 2, I have to see what makes this one different. Of the 3 pharmacy isekai, This is the best one by far. I will be 100% honest. The last one that I watched because the cute little wolf girl. I had to find out, who she was because cute anime character with ears. Let's see. And that was a cute, wholesome little story. And then, I forget what the other one was. That was a pharmacy isekai, but so you can tell how memorable that one was. This one, the storyline is really good.
Were you talking about leaving the heroes party? Because that was technically pharmacy, but no way, that wasn't an isekai.
Banished from the heroes party, I actually enjoyed the first couple episodes.
And that's not an isekai.
That's right. I forgot
that is pharmacy related, but that one's not technically an isekai. That's a fantasy. One of the rare fantasies that's not isekai. And Aaron Campbell was in that show. I actually did get the autograph of Written Red from him. So when we see Danny Chambers, we'll get her to sign it as well.
And that's...
I am enjoying Parallel World Pharmacy. This, like I said, the storyline was different from what I was expecting. I like the fact that it's different from the other two. I like the fact that the storyline is better written and has more chance for development. And I like the fact that they've found a way of taking modern day medicine knowledge, put it in an isekai into a fantasy world that's very primitive. And granted, they isekai'd it where, oh look, he's got the mark of the god of medicine and has all these abilities, but he's an aristocrat that's trying to change the world that he's in.
And Doug, this might actually answer one of your comments. The author of Parallel World Pharmacy is a real-life pharmacologist, and you know what?
That's right up my alley. The fact that somebody who knows the ins and outs
and
creating
that
something
probably
like that
accounts to why it is so well written. And
have to say, the person that did How Heavy Are the Dumbbells, they were a personal trainer, or they were in the field in some way, shape, or form. So that's how that was so accurate.
Same thing with New Game. The person who wrote New Game used to work for video game development. So when they have true knowledge, personal experience in the field, and they decide to create these stories, it makes them that much more entertaining and enjoyable, I think.
It also makes learning more fun.
I mean, look at Cells at Work. That was so accurate. There are colleges that use that to help teach.
Pretty much.
I need to go back and finish that. That's one I watched like half the first season and then forgot it. And then because I didn't watch it at home, I watched it with friends. I forgot about it and then got way too busy.
Don't forget, there's a season 2, and then there's Cells at Work Code Black, because seasons 1 and 2 are inside a healthy body, and the spinoff is inside an unhealthy body.
And
so those two completely different experiences.
I need to. That might be something I binge at some point.
And I don't know if our friend Rob is in the chat room. He sent a few weeks back. He sent me a message on Facebook, knowing that I like some of the idol animes. He wanted me to give my opinion on a show called Shine Post, which is airing on High Dive this season. It is an idol anime, but it's a lot different from Love Live and some of the other ones that I've watched. Yes, it's some cute girls, but they're showing it's an already somewhat established idol group, but they're not very popular yet. And seeing some of the struggles that they're going through, it's not, oh, let's start a school idol group. This could be fun. Let's try to make it to the Love Live. These are just people who are trying to not have their group disbanded. And seeing each girl have to try to overcome personal issues, gremlins. One of the girls messed up when she was supposed to take the lead on a song, and that mentally traumatized her from ever wanting to be the lead. She just wanted to be the back support. They brought a new manager in to help these girls try to, basically show off their true potential. And, he kind of forced her to go out there and sing this song that she screwed up on and then never did it again. And, you get to see her with the, in the mental challenge that she's trying to overcome, the internal battle that she's facing. And it's an interesting spin-off for the Idol animes. The music is good. Personally, I think Love Live Sunshine or Love Live Superstar has better music, but I kind of like the characters in Shine Post better. I know Ange is not an Idol person, and I don't know, Darren, if you watch Idol anime very much.
All right, I'm going to show this off because we found it, and now, of course, I can't get that. It does, in fact, light up. You can't see it, but...
It's changing colors, green, red,
blue, yellow, whitish, blue,
pink.
And now I'm going to give it back to you.
I think pink is his best color.
But yes, that was hiding in the bookcase that is sitting next to me, and since it was discussed, showing off nonsense.
Levi says, Food Wars, I like Food Wars. It's a bit strange, but it's good. Food Wars is a really good anime. Aaron spent a lot of money on that anime.
See, that's one that as a foodie, I feel like I should go and watch.
Do it.
But with what time? And then Ross is saying, Ongaku Shoujo is better than Love Live. I can't... As I've not seen any of those, I can't really say anything other than read comments.
Same. I can't put an opinion on them either. The only Idol anime I've seen was oh my gosh.
Love Live, the original?
No, Zombieland Saga.
Is that even really an Idol anime, though?
Yes and no.
Kind of is, but...
I mean, it's an Idol group. So, I would personally say yes. Is it a true Idol anime? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. If you can argue both ways.
And Julili says, never watched Ongoku Shoujo yet. As an Idol, Love Live is like Kids Bop to me. I can kind of see that. Where Julili is an Idol and has done performances and stuff like that with groups, she has a 10 times better knowledge and experience at that than any of us do. So, like I said, I like the music of Love Live. Having gone back to and rewatched the first season of Love Live School Idol Project, it was cute to see my daughter try to imitate the dancing and stuff like that. The music is still good, but the show is just did not hit like it did when I first watched it. I still say Superstar is better than Sunshine, and whatever that fourth one that they put out, I don't even remember the name of it. That was just so terrible I couldn't get past like 3 episodes. So
I know people that absolutely love Live and the whole genre. I just kind of leave it as not my thing and call it a day.
The problem is too many things are not your thing.
No. The big one, like, I'll watch a lot of stuff that's all over the place. Isekai is a genre that I'm just sick of at this point because the few that most of the ones I've actually seen are actually bad.
And I've been trying to catch up because I'm watching quite a few different shows this season, and sitting down and catching up on Rent a Girlfriend season 2. I have to say, the main character is getting more and more annoying.
And not as annoying as Girlfriend's main character, right?
Not that bad, but he's getting damn close.
You were
So
so excited about.
So we're finally putting Ichika Orimura as further and further away from the list of most annoying male characters in many ways, shapes, and forms.
This guy is he's just such you can't say he's a bad person. It's just
he makes poor choices.
The choices he makes and the way he reacts to situations, it's just so cringy that I don't even know if calling this show mid for season 2. Like, season 1 was great. I enjoyed the characters. We had the waifu wars with Chizuru. Is she best girl? Da 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 da. You get into season 2 and it's much of the same as season 1. Some of the storyline is getting okay, but not better. And you're starting to see some growth from some of the other girls of the 4.
Tip of the day, go watch Nisekoi.
I'm just not impressed by season 2.
And I just remember you were so excited for that one too.
I had high hopes, and man, did they let me down. I'm sorry. I'll say it. I had high hopes because season 1 was really good, I thought, and season 2, it's like, this guy has just become, like, he's Deku level wine ass. And
a show is Levi's comment, a show is good when the main character starts off annoying, then you can see what they start to not be annoying.
But he's not getting any less annoying.
And Chizuru is becoming less desirable, in my opinion, based off of some of her attitude.
All I've seen lately in terms of memes for Rent a Girlfriend are either of Ruka or Mommy.
And like, I know I'm still one episode behind, but Mommy I think Mommy has really shown that she's best girl in the series, even though she's quiet and shy. She's just very pure. And I kind of like her better than Chizuru. Ruka's just kind of annoying, and then blonde hair girl is just, I don't even want to go with that. Start on her.
Like I said, you need to watch Nisekoi because similar. I don't know, that's what started a lot of the waifu war trends back in the day, or at least when the internet had a large role to play in it.
I will say that there's one show I haven't started yet, but from everything I've heard about it and seen about it from reviews, I kind of want to check it out, and that's Call of the Night.
Yes.
And going back into the comments here, Levi asked, has anyone ever watched all of Naruto, including Shippuden, not including Boruto? I have it. Took a long time.
I have watched a total of 0 episodes of Naruto, so if that answers your question.
I have watched 0 Naruto. Anything that's got, like, I don't have a lot of time. And anything that's got more than, like, 100 episodes, I probably am not going to watch.
I saw all of Dragon Ball, though. So I can tell you all about
I dropped
Dragon
Fairy Tail in the hundreds. I dropped My Hero Academia partway through season 4, just because there's so many shows out there and trying to keep up on a long running show and remember what's going on for me is not the easiest thing to do.
Black Clover was a more enjoyable shonen than My Hero. And actually, I made it almost all the way up to the last 20 episodes, I think.
Black Clover, I actually started reading the manga versus watching it because
Austin's so annoying.
No, actually, when back in 2018 when I went to Tokyo, Black Clover was everywhere, but we hadn't seen it hit the US yet. And then conversely, by the time we remembered to actually go look it up, it was over 100 episodes. It just did not happen. And subsequently, because we have the Viz Media app, I can just go and read it instead.
And Ross says on the Rent-A-Girlfriend front, the whole Rent-A-Girlfriend series, I looked up the female characters when the series was about to come out, and Sumi was the only one I liked. Chizuru just wants to be an actress. Mommy doesn't care. Ruka too dumb and young for these problems. Sumi is just trying to do her best to change and is perfect. So Sumi was the one that I liked, not Mommy. Mommy was the annoying blonde. So I think I misspoke earlier. Sumi was the one that I liked, the quiet, shy one that is trying to better herself and put herself out of her comfort zone. Which I think a lot of us in the anime world, as a fandom, we go to conventions, we cosplay because we want to get out of our comfort zone and find a way of doing it that is comfortable. A lot of us are introverted. We don't like going out into big crowds, things of that nature. It makes you uncomfortable going to stores or things like that. So cosplay and conventions is a way of being able to comfortably make yourself uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
It does.
And we're still waiting for Darren to cosplay. Darren's the only one of the three of us who has yet to cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, my introduction to cosplay was my friend had been cosplaying for years. She basically was like, I don't want to do this by myself. Since you're coming to Anime Boston with us, I have some costumes that don't fit me anymore, but are small enough that would fit you. Come try it. So I did. And it was hilarious. And then I started finding characters I liked.
And Ross says, so if I had to describe shortly Chizuru, Ruka, and Mommy, Chizuru W, Mommy WS, Ruka S. And we've really derailed off the subject of Puchi Con, going into some of these shows.
Did.
But getting back into Puchi Con, it was enjoyable. It was fun to do the live streams. Did not make it to any panel outside of the masquerade because of being behind the table. So I'm not sure what all the panels were. We did not have panels at Puchi Con this time around like we did the first time, but it was still fun to live stream. And Angela, as somebody who's gone to many conventions, and you've been an enforcer at cons, I think you've helped out at tables and stuff. What did you think of the live streaming aspect, since that's not something you normally see at conventions?
It was an interesting experience. Just the people's reactions to the camera was interesting.
The only time I've ever seen a convention live stream where the fans were interacting and there was a TV turned so you could see it as well was when Crunchyroll came to Anime-Zing like 6 years ago or so, and they did something similar.
And fun fact, I do not know if this is the first year they've done it, but Crunchyroll Expo was going on while we were at Puchi Con.
Because I think they had tried to do it pre-pandemic. Well, I think they might have done one live, one pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, they did everything online. Which I know that because I signed up for the convention both 2020 and 2021 and watched some of the live streaming. In fact, one of our friends from the show here, he's been a guest multiple times. Mario Bueno is one of the hosts of the Crunchyroll Expo. I think he has a couple of panels he does, and I think he also was part of the Masquerade as an MC. Levi talking about us going off the rails says, yep, but going off the rails is fun, which we do it all the time.
The joys of live shows.
And the joys of having a host whose attention span is that of a cat.
And you guys just go along for the ride, so you don't even try to reel me back in at this point.
Well, we're also well past the half.
Yeah. And but getting back to Puchi Con, all in all, if I had to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, based off of experience, staff, enjoyment, things of that, factoring everything from that we've experienced at cons as attendees, vendors, whatever before, I gave Pennsylvania a pretty high mark. Because of the staff and how attentive they were to everybody and watching them walk around and interact with every vendor and the guests and everything. They were just as good this time around. So I definitely would rate them higher than Anime Boston again. I would probably have to give them a score of maybe like a 7.5 or so out of 10.
Now I will give New Jersey a solid 7 out of 10. There was a lot of there was some good things, some not so good things, some WTF moments.
You could definitely tell that it was a con that was in a new location and had a learning curve.
Yep.
Now that's why it's not higher than a 7.5 for me. But taking into account that they had a lot of challenges going into this, and they handled it, in my opinion, pretty well with the staff where they were at. Granted, some staffers were in new locations, had a little bit of amount of time to get things organized. As you mentioned, Angela, the Masquerade coordinator only had a couple months to put everything together, which the show went. Technical issues aside, because those are gremlins that pop up even in the most experienced of cons. That went pretty smoothly.
All things considered, the Masquerade went really smooth, and my one criticism of the Masquerade is I wouldn't have put it in that room.
Yeah.
The technical difficulties, they can't control. I mean, hell, Wi-Fi, hotel and convention center internet is not always the greatest. And
you don't know how well the electrical is in there, and
bingo. And if they were doing the music via electronic devices or via iTunes or via Wi-Fi, such as Spotify, iTunes, etc., we don't know. But that's I would have put it in a different room, but that's about the only thing I could say to that as a constructive criticism.
Levi says a 9 for my first as it was their first convention, which, like I said, as a first con, I think Puchi Con is a good con for your first time.
Absolutely. I will 100% agree with that.
Because the staff gives you a warm and welcome feeling, and gives you the sense of, we're happy you're here, which you want from a convention, especially a small to mid con.
And some of the larger cons are awesome, don't get me wrong, but for a first convention, they can be very, very overwhelming.
They can be overwhelming, sometimes scary, and if you don't have a good staff or enough staffers, it's very easy for a first timer to feel lost, forgotten, alone. A lot, and it's not that the cons are trying to make you feel that way. And I don't want to deter anybody from going to big cons like Colossal Con or Anime Boston or, New York Comic Cons and some of these really large scale cons that are out there, because they're fantastic times. Just try to have a mental understanding that these bigger events, you could run into, overcrowding, not being able to move, waiting in long lines, things of that nature, where something the size of Puchi Con or AAC or stuff like that are smaller, you're able to have a better time. Yes, you're going to see a lot of the same faces throughout the weekend, but it gives you a chance to make friends. You have more time to speak with the artists, more time to speak with the voice acting guests. There was multiple times that we saw, guests that are attendees who could go up to Griffin Burns and have, a 5, 6, 7 minute conversation with them and not worry that there's 100 people in line behind them and they have 2 minutes, sign, quick hello, get kind of pushed aside by staffers to keep the line moving. Things went really smoothly the way they designed to have the line go through, and have everybody just kind of work their way down the line, have tickets and things like that. So I think again, as I mentioned earlier, when we got moved, I thank the staff for having the foresight of being like, they're going to get, AZR is going to get lost in the shuffle by having a whole line of people blocking the table that the attendees are not going to be able to see you guys. So can you just move to the other end so you'll be at the end of the voice actor line? Like, also, we do have that story with Aaron Campbell that you are going to want to tune into in September 4th, when Aaron talks about his adventure with Puchi Con. I don't want to get into too much detail because I think it's going to be a funnier story for him.
Don't spoil it.
That's why I'm trying to tell him, come in and see that. Come in and watch us.
Yep.
And if you're enjoying the shows that we're put on, we're here every Sunday night that we don't have a convention that I'm at. Typically, if I'm traveling, on a Sunday, I won't do a live show because of, like, Puchi Con, I got home, I think, about 10:30. So there was no way I was going to get a live show in that night.
Plus, we live streamed that day, so same thing.
But any con that we do have tables at, we are going to be live streaming, and I am trying to figure out our con schedule for the rest of 2022 and looking ahead into 2023. Going to be some fun stuff. We definitely have some huge things in the works.
But it looks like because of other pre-existing travel plans, the only convention I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year is PAX Unplugged. So if you like board games and tabletop stuff, come on down. And you're in the Philadelphia area or want to travel to Philly, come find me there. Come say hi.
I will be in October. I am looking at Retro Game Con in Syracuse, because that's not a horribly long drive for me. It's a new con, new area to go and promote the show. It is a gaming convention. There is tabletop, there is video games, There is going to be another strong Genshin Impact presence at this one. Multiple voice actors from Genshin are going to be there. I know Casey Fox is going to be at AAC in October as well. I've got a couple other potentials that may come down the line. One in October. We are looking at Anime-Zing in November. So,
which I may very well not go to 100% because
timing.
Timing. It is the weekend after I get back from Europe, and erring on the side of everybody's safety because technically by definition we're still in a pandemic. I don't want to go to a convention too soon after getting back from overseas on the off chance.
Oh yeah. Which is definitely understandable. In the chat room, Julie says, with big cons, you got to have the courage to talk to new people if you don't have a crew or friends attending with you. Putting yourself out there may be scary, but it's worth the experience. Which it's very true because, Angela and I actually met at Anime Boston because of my wife doing a photo shoot with Angela and her husband. Many moons ago,
and you happen to be there, and the four of us started talking, and then Facebook being what it is, and then way before the YouTube days, there was a cosplayer roundtable that I was a part of way back when.
Was that still on the Hazy Radio days when we first started?
I don't know if it was Hazy Radio or if it was Blog Talk or whatever, but it was everybody called in this number.
Okay, if everybody called in to the show, then it was Hazy Radio. If I called out to you, then it would have been Blog Talk.
I don't remember. What I remember is you asking everybody what's the best memory you have from cosplaying at a convention, and I was somewhere in the middle and told a story, and the people after me were just kind of like, well, great, now I can't come up with anything better than that, because I told the story of how my husband proposed because it was at AAC like the year before.
And Ross says, I will not be able to get you guys pictures of my con. I think it means costume because I don't have Facebook, but my mom does, so I might ask her to put them on Facebook. If you want to shoot me an email with the photos, Ross, that's perfectly fine as well, and I can, with your permission, share them up on our Facebook page. We want to make sure we have permission to do things.
Permission and consent is muy importante.
And also for
importante. Get your Spanish right.
I can barely speak English. What makes you think you can speak Spanish?
Nothing.
Baja. And this train didn't just derail. It jumped the track to another state.
Forget that, another country.
And but yeah, we take things very seriously. As much fun as we have with the show, when it comes to things like photography, Ross says it was Hazy Radio for the first cosplay roundtable. Ross has been with us for that long. Hats off to Ross for being a fan of the show. We've been going over almost 8.5 years, and Ross has been there just about from the beginning. And Darren was there almost from the beginning as well. He just didn't expect that at some point he would be here as a co-host.
Pretty much.
Well, to be fair, neither did I, but
I like being, spontaneous.
But then again, I run my mouth and don't always pay attention to what comes out, and then, hey, things happen.
I think you've been enjoying your time here.
Well, yeah.
Except when we talk about isekai or other tropes she's tired of.
Eh.
She just rolls her eyes and will slap us up later. Especially when we get into the best girl arguments.
Or if this happens in person, I'll just sit in the corner, pull out my tablet, and start reading manga that interests me.
Or pull out her tablet and continue watching Overlord.
That too.
Yes, please.
And
Speaking
Levi says that they would love to be a co-host and go with you guys to cons. That would be fun. It's there's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, we have a blast at the conventions. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to get things organized and stuff. And I'm not the most organized person. So the fact that things went is, and a fun fact, due to the fact that Puchi Con, New Jersey was my 6th con in like a 13-week span or 14-week span, my mind was kind of mush. And my communication with them for the Pennsylvania show was a million times better than it was for the Jersey show. The fact that we ended up where we ended up was a miracle. And I thank all the forces at work, especially the staff, for being understanding and being like, oh, no, we know who you are. We appreciate the fact that you support the convention. We know that you have a table. Originally, we didn't have a table on the schedule. When they first sent out the table assignments out, Anime-Zing Radio wasn't actually on there because they knew we were coming, but hadn't gotten the confirmation because I was still recovering from Kineticon when I got the email. And I was like, oh no, we are definitely going to be there. And they're like, okay, well, since we had a cancellation at this table, we'll give you this one. And then I looked on the map where the table was, and it was Voice Actor Row. So we, by luck, we got into the best table position I've ever had at a convention. Being able to sit down and talk with Paul St. Peter, Griffin Burns, Keith Silverstein. If you watch our live from day 2, our Sunday live, Keith Silverstein actually comes by and we have a conversation with him. And he doesn't know that the camera's on, which was kind of funny. Fortunately, he didn't talk about anything that he couldn't talk about.
And we had the on-air sign and everything.
But having a chance to talk with him, and I didn't buy any figures. I did buy 2 pieces of art and got 3 autographs.
No grab bags?
No grab bags, no figures. There wasn't a ton there that really jumped out at me.
I only saw 1 vendor doing grab bags.
I saw 2 with grab bags, and neither one had much merch at the table that interested me personally. So it's like, I'm not. I think I'm more interested in the bigger grab bags, or the grab bags from some of the bigger shows where you have more of a chance of getting the vendors who would have the merchandise I would like. Like, trying to, as looking at at it as, from the radio show perspective, larger cons are good for us for networking. Smaller cons are better for us for actually having a chance to communicate, talk with fans, get to meet people, talk with more voice actors, things of that nature, and be able to develop stronger connections with people. A larger con from a fan perspective, like Anime Boston, I would go to more to try to find that anime merchandise that's hard to find, because with all the vendors, you have a better chance of finding it there than you would at a smaller con.
Oh, God.
But that's that's kind of where I see things, where like a Bakuretsu Con, an AAC, Anime, smaller cons like that are better for getting to meet people, make friends. I've had better luck at talking with people at the small to mid-sized cons than I do at large cons, especially when you get there and you do get the feeling of overwhelmed if it's one of your first few cons or things like that. I will say, though, that having a panel at Anime Boston, thank God I had the first panel of the day, because if that room was probably any fuller than it was, I don't think I would have had as smooth of a time talking as I did, because the nerves were really bad. And you weren't there to laugh at me or to keep me calm.
I wasn't there to run my mouth and say something that would just start the whole shebang.
And I wasn't there, period.
And our friend Rob Keys, who's basically our idol, he is the one who is the anime idol fanatic. He wasn't much help. He's like, you got a half hour before your panel, you nervous? Yeah. When I first walked in and saw the size of the room, I thought I was going to crap myself, to be honest. But when I saw, if it filled up, I probably would have had about 400 people. I probably had about 50, which made it more reasonable. And once the panel started going, I kind of went into show mode, and it just kind of went from there.
I have to say, 50 people is still more than you got for a lot of shows on Blog Talk. No offense.
That's why we're no longer with Blog Talk. And these people I could see.
I feel bad for them.
Whereas me, I will just start talking to people.
You just like running your mouth and then stuff happens.
I'm also a very extroverted person.
See, unless, I don't know, unless you have something that catches my interest, there's a very good chance I won't start talking to you. But if I get to talking, I probably won't shut up.
And jumping back to comments, Ross and Levi are pretty much at the point of it's getting close to the end of the show. So have a good night and an amazing week.
Thank you so much, Ross and Levi, for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in tonight. And again, congratulations to the winner, Solomon Z, who is going to be joining us for our interview with Aaron Campbell on September 4th. Again, we've got some great guests lined up for the next couple of weeks. Also, be sure to check out Wednesday when AZR After Hours comes out. We're going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, so the same time that we started tonight. And it's going to be something fun. We're going to be 18 plus, so there's going to be strong language, could be questionable content, not suitable for young viewers. So definitely viewer discretion will be advised for that show, because you never know what subjects we're going to go on to. Never know what's going to be said. And we might hurt some feelings. Controversy.
Not intentional.
Not intentional. And like I said, next Sunday we're going to be joined by our good friend Rusty Gilligan, a very talented comic artist. He's been a voice actor, an actor. He was a professional wrestler in his younger years. August 28th, we're going to be joined by Mike, who does some podcasts. Angela was able to connect us with him. And I think he wants to go by Michael.
Yes.
So Michael, and what were the names of the podcasts? I don't have the email up.
It's Transformers based, but that'll be a surprise.
And then September 4th, we're going to be welcoming Aaron Campbell to the show.
Lots of fun stories to come.
September 11th, we're working on a guest for that. September 18th, we're going to have Ari Lynn, a very talented cosplayer that we met at Puchi Con in Pennsylvania. She joined us for our live Saturday night broadcast there after the masquerade. September 25th, we're going to be joined by another cosplayer. Scree Cosplay is going to be joining us. And of course, in October, we're working on getting some amazing guests for that. We've got a few people that we're in talks with. We just need to nail down some dates. And until then, until Wednesday night, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Be sure to come by and join us for the absolute craziness that's going to be AZR After Hours, where anything and everything can and probably will happen. I don't think we're going to have the Naked Man on with us for that one, though. Because he's got his own show to do Wednesday nights, if I remember correctly. So, Angela asks because she knows who I'm talking about.
Yep, I do.
Talk about questionable content.
Yep.
Talk about after-hour content.
I mean, I might do something silly for that.
We're not going to say what, but tune in to find out if she does and what it is. So until Wednesday, when we come back with AZR After Hours, and if you're underage, be sure to join us next Sunday as we welcome Rusty Gilligan back to the show. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there. Keep watching anime. This has been Anime-Zing Radio right here on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube.
Have a wonderful night, everybody.